morning, sir.
We love the coat. Just need a bow tie.
Bow tie skip.
I have a bow tie that doesn't match that perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Sunday session of the Maryland State Firemen Association Executive Committee. Chaplain Frank, if you'd be so kind as to leave us an indication.
You may be seated. I have a few words I'd like to say at first. Just a few, I promise. I was looking at a website, and it was called The Cultural Characteristics of the Fire Service. They were listed: courage, honor, duty, respect, integrity, character, and moral courage. Those are all wonderful traits, aren't they? That we each one strive to live by, not only in our own personal lives, but in the fire service. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have to work with our chief chaplain as well as all of you. Heck, today, everybody, I had a flat tire. I didn't have to do nothing. Everybody took care of me, and I do appreciate that very much. We can stand with courage. We can honor God. We can fulfill all that God has for us. We can respect His word. We can be men and women of integrity in our word and deed. We might be counted to do what is right in all situations, to do what is right for God and man, that we might help out, we might reach out to others in the time of difficulty. I guess the Lord put it the best way in Luke, the 10th chapter, a scripture verse I'm sure that we are all familiar with. If I can find it, here we go. Jesus said in Luke 10, beginning with verse 30, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment and wounded him and departed, leaving him half dead. By chance they came down a certain priest that way and saw him. He passed over on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he came to the place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to the inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever you spendeth more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Which now these 3, thinkest thou, was neighbor unto those who fell among the thieves. And Jesus said, Go and do likewise." We have opportunities every day to go and to do likewise, that God might bless us in the fire service as we reach out to others, that we we make a difference in the lives of so many people. May God bless you. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the opportunities we have to serve you. Lord, I thank you for our leadership and this association. I pray that you would bless us as we make decisions and as we continue to do what you would have us to do. I thank you, Lord, for each one who is in this room today. I thank you for their friendship. I thank you for their love of the fire service. And we pray that you would bless us as we make those decisions relevant to our association. Continue to guide us and bless us. We pray all these things in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Could our fire prevention ambassadors come forward and lead us in the pledge? Good morning once again, and welcome to MSFA Executive Committee and the Libertytown Volunteer Fire Department. This time I'll turn over to President Smothers for comments.
Good morning and welcome back. I hope everyone had a good evening tooling around Frederick County. Just a few comments. Most of you know Tommy Manigan was here yesterday, but late last night Jenny fell in her hotel room, so they went back home. So we want to make sure that they're okay. He believes she's going to be all right, but you know, he didn't want to bring her back today. So keep both of them in your thoughts and prayers. Also, late last night here in Frederick County, we had two deaths from smoke inhalation from a fire not too far from here, down in Adams County about 2 in the morning. That information is slowly coming out, so our prayers are with those families as well. One of the things that I have said as I'm going around to the association meetings, we really need to get the word out for smoke detectors here. With those two deaths, we're probably over 50 fire-related deaths here in the state of Maryland. So I know I'm leaning on our fire ambassadors and little fire chiefs to help get that word out. But please take this information back to your associations and every your home departments. Really kind of beat the bushes a little bit before we get into the fall and have those numbers go up. So I appreciate your help in that. So I hope we have a good meeting today. I know we will. We had a good meeting yesterday. Thank everyone for their participation. Move us forward. You know, I really wasn't trying to beat up the electronics part of what we did yesterday. I don't want folks to say that we got. What I want to do is make sure going forward that electronically we're very sound. I'm encouraging our committee chairs so that if you don't have to drive around the state, we have the ability to do Zoom and Google Meets and all those things. So use those things to your advantage, and that way you don't have to travel as greater distances. But just make sure also that we post those meetings on our websites. You know, a lot of times the presidents, we would like to either be able to sit in, listen in, help you if need to be, and if we're in the area, we'll even stop in. So there's a lot of moving parts within MSFA. We've got over 50 committees. It's kind of hard to keep up with all of them. So if you could help us a little bit by posting that information on the websites or sending an email to Kate, our executive director, or myself, we'll get that information, or even Chip. We'll help you get that information out. So have a good day. Let's have a good meeting, and I'll turn it back over to you, Chip.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Any other comments we need to have made before assembly? Okay, let's move forward with some of our committee reports. Our first report will be from the Emergency Services Branch, Vice President Simpson, and the first report will be from the EMS Services Committee, Rick Udell.
Good morning. First, a little bit, since I'm President's mother's, with the loss of Linda Ducey, has asked me to step in and be the chair. I've been the vice chair for over 15 years, and 50 years in EMS service. No, we couldn't do we didn't do anything electronically this month. That's all. It would be from that forward. We will, yes, you will get copies. We met at Level Volunteer Fire Company on July 22nd. It was basically just to get together and work with our committees. Myself as chair, Gina Perella and Susan Mott as vice chairs. Charlie Simpson is executive director over the branches, and we had that meeting. Charlie Simpson reported thanks to those who helped with the Hunt Award, 6 nominees, and of course the winner came out of Rocky Ridge. And we need to get out to the jurisdictions and nominate individuals for awards. This is a huge retention incentive. The Maryland Emergency Service Operations Fund, there's a big push for it this year. And of course, you get $10 off your vehicle registration, goes to the fund. There are 5 recipients of the 508 Fund: shock trauma, aviation, MIMS, and MID. The governor has announced this fiscal year will end in debt. Life Safety Conference at Johns Hopkins, encourage folks to sign up, and of course, we're pushing the $10,000 raffle. Reports from some of the committees, from the AL Subcommittee. They have been at a standstill for a while, but they will be scheduling a meeting soon. Okay. From the BOS Committee, from Bill Dusa, and they are working on various different projects, and discussion was on MIMS, new testing program that is being trialed until the end of the calendar year. From the Volunteer Ambulance Inspection Committee, Charlie Simpson, the last meeting was held 2 months ago, updated to conform with 2023-24 protocols. VAP removed lidocaine from nasal trachea, and commercial tourniquets will be raised to 6 on transport and 4 on chase vehicles. Report was given by MIMS from Dr. Chisholm. The protocol printing was delayed due to page blanks, 2,500 books found returned and completed. Pocket protocols will be available. There's an online protocol app program to be developed. Hospital ED transfer time. MINS, as of July 1st, 2023, will posting monthly transfer times to the Health Services Cost Review Commission. Application of financial incentive or penalty may result from data collected. Specific guidance has been provided to hospitals and jurisdictional services for accurate timeline data. He will be asking the Q&A officers to be involved first time. It's a second time transfer to facility. Strata report will show 30 minutes or less, green or yellow, 30 to 60 minutes, over 60 minutes will be in the red. Medical Integrated Healthcare Program has funding. Commercial transport service for nursing homes to emergency department is not receiving payments and does not constitute emergency care. Transport may lead to legislation. The destination dictates payment, and they are only paying $150. Cannabis. Clinician and quality assurance officer, a member to clarify alcohol or cannabis is the same. If positive for cannabis, conditions will be brought to the state Q&A. Random testing may cause concern due to the lasting of the cannabis in the system. The funding for EMT stipends will be available for 1 more year. The total money was awarded last year, a total of $2,000 per student on the proposed stages. CPAP for EMTs. Protocol Committee wants feedback. It is part of the National Registry scope of practice. Very easy to make optional jurisdictional versus statewide. It will impact the training requirements and inventory financing. MT Super Glottis Airways for EMTs Protocol Committee wants feedback, not in the national scope of practice. Dr. Chismar stated the length of EMT class may be already support national scope. Dr. Chisholm will say there are 1,200 EMRs and 15,000 EMT. There was a question from the floor, is there an update or transition of chats? Dr. Chisholm stated that is being captured in some MedStar hospital. Report from Maryland State Aviation. Gina Pirelli reported they are celebrating 15th year anniversary on August 5th, 2023 from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. President's mother's reported blood product is now available. 4 students in the academy class. They are facing a staff shortage who need to replace a half-caste student. Report from MIFI given by Charles System. Report from shock trauma given by Becky Gilmore. Remember to email liaison for patient follow-up. Do not ask the nurses for these follow-up. Oncoming broadcast end of September, looking for good subject matter. Also looking for on-site training such as a Go Team. Stop the Bleed campaign, looking to partner with station training. Unfinished business recognition program update by Roger Marks. The COVID vaccination, the committee has to validate the criteria. Approval citation bars have been designated. The program now has a well-defined criteria for this recognition. In new business, there was discussion of suggesting the alternate EMS committee meeting be virtual or in person. The committee voted to have them in person, but with opening for virtual if necessary. Our next EMS meeting will be on Sunday, October 15th, and the destination and where we're having the meeting will be announced. Good of the order, Maryland State Fire Marshal Dog Program has a scholarship available. Apply with a written essay. Arlene and Neil Cohn with Therapy Dog Sandy can be contacted for events. What has happened is, Bill Dusa, who has been our BOS chairman for many, many years, with the loss of Linda, Bill has decided to step down and take a breather for a while, and we have accepted that, and we feel it was necessary. We have someone in his position, Russ Zachary, and Gina Pirelli will be his assistant. SEMSAC, the governor-appointed position, meets the first Thursday each month. Application with CV to be provided to selection committee by President some others, select by in-person nomination. And basically, gentlemen, that is my report. Any questions?
Any questions for the EMS committee chair, Mr. Dayton?
The EMT stipend, is that available to the EMTs now, or is that something for,
That's now.
that's now the new,
Yes.
there's additional money now? Okay.
MIMS has funding that they are working on securing to start the stipend program again, but it has not opened up for application period yet.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for EMS committee? Would like to introduce the two vice chairs, Gina Pirelli and Susan Mott from Carroll County, and Gina's from Frederick. So thank you for serving. And please recognize Bill. Bill has been certainly a mainstay in EMS in the state of Maryland, and for the MSFA. His and Linda's service both are a great tribute to the volunteers in this state. So please make sure that we appreciate his service and regretfully accept the resignation.
We sure will. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, just one other thing here. I'd like to thank Richard for taking over the EMS committee and filling in. As he mentioned, he's been with the committee for many years, retired Navy SEAL captain, so nobody wants to mess with him. We all recognize that in our service today, probably about 85% of most of what our fire departments do is dealing with EMS. And the representation of that committee from across the state makes a big difference, and I think it influences the MIFRE programs that utilize EMS as well as those coming out of MIMS. We've got at least 4 subcommittees within the EMS committee that we've got some great people that have stepped up to work on those, between the SEMSAC, the VAIP program, which is the Voluntary Ambulance Inspection Seal of Excellence program. We've got the BLS and
they are involved. One additional item is that the executive committee charged the EMS committee at our last meeting, I believe, with coming up with the guidelines to submit to the awards committee for the COVID vaccination pin that was to go to those COVID vaccinators during the COVID-19 pandemic. The committee did finalize those guidelines, and I believe those guidelines have been forwarded to the awards committee for that award to be taken care of. So just as a follow-up.
And the awards committee chairman just acknowledged.
Right.
Thank you,
So,
Doyle.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, EMS, or the executive committee, for your support.
Thank you. Do you have another comment, Doyle, regarding that? Stand by. Okay, he does have the pins, and he'll be distributing them to the various counties. I assume the executive committee members will get those to distribute?
Roger Marks, who's not
Okay.
here today, so.
In
Sure,
process.
There's some follow-up to do, but yes.
Okay, it's in process.
It
Very
is
good.
process.
Very good.
Chip.
Thank you. And
Let me just, Roger's going to follow up with that. They need to be verified by the medical directors that those folks were actually active, giving us shots. Some folks have asked for a second pin. I don't have a problem with that because some folks want to either put it in the shadow box and one on a uniform. We're okay to do that. But as Charlie said, the work that Bill Dusa has done for us, speaks volumes as well as Linda. And MSFA maintains and has a very big presence in the EMS arena. Steve sits on the EMS board as well as the president here through MSFA. Skip will wind up getting there too. We do have a big presence, and we reach out not only from BLS to ALS. So here's prime opportunities, as I have said, for our younger men and women when they're looking to be a participant in a committee. It's very imperative that we start these folks young and look behind us who's coming behind you. I was talking to Chris, if you see that big, all that stuff behind him, who's the guy that's going to take care of that if, let's say today, he couldn't be here. Richard's not here. Who's going to do that? Who knows the capabilities of that? So we need to build the infrastructure coming behind you. If something were to happen to any one of us here, who's coming behind you? And that's kind of the direction I would like to go. I'm not running anybody off. We're glad to have you, but who's coming behind you next? But for Bill, my hat's off to him and everything that he's done. I appreciate all his work. And thank you, Richard, for stepping up.
thank you. Mr. President, you going to give the SIMSAC?
SIMSAC did not meet this month. We are going to meet actually in person the first Thursday of October at MIMS. So we will have a meeting there. The only thing there really is that we're still following the 50/50 grant, which is the AED monitor defibrillators. And so encourage your folks that if their larger monitors are due to expire, replace those first. So that award or that grant is out there right now. I'm trying to think what else. The training or the new curricula for EMT recertification as far as the skills, that is an active work in process. MSFA is in the middle of that, as well as the partners. They did have one beta test. I'm not happy with some of the comments that I heard back, so it's still a work in progress. The partners are going to have a partners meeting, and we're going to work through some of those details. So it's not a finished product out there, and I know some folks may feel a little frustrated with that. Change can be a good thing, but we want to make sure that it's beneficial to our providers and that we don't lose people in the process. So if you hear that it didn't work out so well, or didn't hear where it was a very good turnout, we're getting information not only from the students that went through the process, but also from the instructors that are administering the test. So it goes both ways. So we're still building that. I know Dr. Delbridge is on top of that, and I will, and myself and Steve, since we both sit on SIMSAC and the EMS board, we're not going to let something roll out that we're not comfortable with. And I know Mifrey's not either, so we're going to continue to follow that. Steve, if you got any comments to that?
No, I think you covered it very well, and fortunately, Dr. Delbridge gives us a report every EMS board meeting, and we're being informed, and I can tell you that everyone, and we certainly welcome President Smothers as the new chair of SIMSAC on the EMS board, but every one of the EMS board members have their ear to the ground, listening and watching for anything.
Anything further? Okay, let's move to the fire prevention and life safety. I know Mr. Phillips is not here. However, let's go with Fire Prevention Life Safety Committee. Teresa. On deck will be Fire Prevention Subcommittee, Lori Dembo, she's here, and the Junior Miss Fire Prevention Subcommittees, if they'll be ready to go. And then Risk Watch after that.
Mr. Chairman, she just told me to go first. Is that okay?
That's very fine.
Great, thank you.
Lovely.
Good morning. We had a very successful convention. The room has been perfect. What we added was an entire interactive session for not only young adults, but also preteens. I will share with you the statistics that we did. We had, as you walked into Steps to Safety from either side, we had an iPad and asked families to voluntarily register. They were asked 5 questions. Had they been there before? Yes or no? How did they learn about it? Coming to Steps to Safety, what age groups of children they brought, I guess their zip code, and then which day they attended, and the day they attended was actually calculated by the iPad. We estimate that about 50% of the families that came through gave us information. The others did not want to register once they realized there was a zip code, and that is fine. All federal funding from Department of Transportation, Homeland Security, HHS, which is what fills all of our EMSC funding, are now requiring us to demonstrate where we reach populations. And their concern is that we not reach the populations that have lots of cars and the ability to come, but that we reach populations everywhere. So we will be asking for zip codes. It's voluntary, and then I just have to put into all of the federal funding for whether it's highway safety or EMSC, as well as Safe Kids Worldwide now, which we learned in July, an estimate of how many people we think gave us that information and then where those zip codes were. And they realized that this is going to take 3 to 5 years for people to become comfortable with it. We don't ask any other identifying information, so I'm fairly comfortable over time people will be more comfortable giving this information. Having said that, we put up a lot of things on social media. We send things out through email, and it turns out that about 80% of the people who come at convention saw the signs downstairs, or saw the signs as they came up the stairs or up the escalator. So I talked with Ron Zarnicki during convention once we had the first 2 days of this information, and we'll probably be increasing the signage and may even put an information table downstairs at a space that isn't purchased in a quarter to let people know that we're upstairs, because that surprised me. This is the first year we've collected this kind of data. Another 10% came from friends, about 4% came from social media, which really surprised me because we were posting every day and posted as we were setting up on Saturday. And then about 5% follow mascots. So we will keep the mascots. I will keep the ice vests. I will also continue to track down mascots that don't come back in 45 minutes. They're going to get dehydrated and get them back upstairs. Of the people who came in 2023, 6% not been there before, and 30% were returning. We had, the bulk of our children were between the ages of 4 and 10. That was 60% of the children. Preschoolers were 20%, preteens were 10%, and teens were 5%. We also had about 5% infants, but my gut from being in that room for 4 days is that we had more infants. The parents just didn't score them or check them because they weren't the reason they were there. Having said that, all of the displays were very well received. We pulled out of and dusted off the big safety house, and at least a third of the people who came through that space calls it Steps to Safety, and I brought the card and the flyer that we had with me if anybody wants to replicate it or replicate a piece of it with supplies they have at their station. But we probably had a third of our traffic was people wanting to learn how to do injury prevention displays. Since I reported to you last, we have been able, with highway safety funds, to get a few more of the mannequin heads for bike safety demonstration. Any helmet that's given out that is federally funded or funded through Safe Kids, there has to be a just-in-time 2-minute or 5-minute, depending on how talkative the instructor and the parent is, but how to actually fit it and how to adjust it as the child grows. We've also put another 30 safe sleep displays out through all of our pediatric EMS champions, and with the exception of Somerset, those are all delivered. We are still recruiting a pediatric EMS champion for Somerset. So now 20 are out through Safe Kids and Emergency Nursing Associations, and 30 are out through all of our EMS jurisdictional programs. We look forward to another year. The last thing I will say is that we tried a 30-minute quick training on babysitting safety. Had a small curriculum and a corner of the room set aside. Got a lot of attention because everybody wanted a free first aid kit, which was about yay big, and had no medications in it because we were giving it to preteens and teens. Having done that, we will not offer it as a just-in-time quick overview anymore. People were interested, but they weren't going to stay. They wanted to rotate. And our request to the Education Committee next year will be to actually do a 4-hour workshop and see how many people we get to respond. I'm happy to answer any questions. You've got a full written report. I'm not going to read you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Any questions? Okay, Teresa?
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry that I couldn't be here yesterday. We were in Aberdeen yesterday doing a community risk reduction event with the Aberdeen Police Department. First off, I'd like to say congratulations to Ashley and Madeline. They've done great things for us so far this year. I am very proud of their efforts, and it is well received and seen. Our report was submitted, but from the aspect of our report, I just want you to know that the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference is coming up. As of this morning, there's 244 people that have registered. I can have 300 people in that room. We haven't had 300 people in that room in a very long time, so we're looking forward to that date. The keynote speaker is a gentleman who is a survivor of the Station nightclub fire. So he's going to be giving his time that morning. We are greatly appreciative of Rob coming down from Rhode Island to come and speak about what he is. He was never in the fire service before that. He was in public safety in the police side. But after that fire, he became a fireman up in his area of his town where he lives. So he's trying to give back the best way he can. Throughout working with the National Fire Academy, we've been sending out updates for classes that have been available. I do know that the National Fire Academy, they now are not doing a twice a year, is open for people to attend. I get to go as the state representative, and that's an honor to be able to do that. So myself and Joe Walters has signed up so far, and I do know some people from Montgomery County has signed up to attend also. They're working along with the NFA and with NFPA to bring in what's necessary to help facilitate the needs to reduce fires. They've created an interactive dashboard for civilian fire fatalities. You can actually go in. It's Discovery Data Hub. It's It's on their website main page, and then you can actually go through and work out and see real-time data that they're working on. I ask that everybody go on there, share it where you can, and help reduce civilian fire fatalities. I did not know about the fire until Eric said this morning, but this is what we're trying to do. This brings to a number that Maryland, as I guess the fire marshal did state, is a record that we haven't seen, and a record that I don't want to have. Please go online and look at this information, and please share it where you can. Everybody needs to share a simple message to reduce fire fatalities. 2024, the Community Risk Reduction Week, the message is about enforcement. The 5 E's that we work from are education, engineering, enforcement, economic incentives, and emergency response. Each day we will create a model message, and we ask that everybody share it as much as possible. I'm still waiting for Vision 2020 to tell us what their key message will be about enforcement, but my aspect is it'll be late as they do. I don't know why they take so long to give us the stuff. That's something that we've told them that we need to know. So ultimately what I probably will do is work with the fire marshal's office and to ensure that we have the correct terminologies used. The Blueprint for Success, our state education program is moving along pretty well. We have a lot of things already in place that some states don't have. And sometimes Maryland is that model. And when I met with the person from Michigan, and I told her all the things that we already had in place, she goes, I don't know why you're talking to me. I should be talking to you. So that felt pretty good on that. The NFPA updates, just to let you know, through the appropriations money last year, we were given $25,000 to do fire prevention, the NFPA work group, the kits this year. So everybody that entered a book into the prevention program this year received a kit. And then I was given 42 kits by NFPA. I sat at a table for her, and we sat, and Andrea and I talked about everything, what I was going to do, and thinking, she's like, oh my God, I can do the math right now. You get 42 kits. So what I did is I put every fire station in a wheel. And me and a couple of people, we just sat and just kept on hitting the number. So it'll be a surprise. It'll show up to your door. I have the list, and I'll share it to you guys, but very pleased to note that we were able to do this. Out of the fire prevention kit grant that we did 88 grants, and in my math in my head, and not listening to Sarnike, I guess, very well, or I guess I thought Big Shirley math, it was $88,000, because I swear I had 88,000. Kate's like, no, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do. And then Ronnie's like, no, you don't, Teresa Ann. I'm like, yes, I do, Ronnie. So worked it out with Alertall, and they took the $65,000, and they were able to apply to all 88 stations, 88 departments that applied, and the bill comes out to $735, but really you're getting like $1,400 worth of materials. And I know a lot of departments have already started receiving their stuff. So we're moving great strides with that program. This year's presentation model message is Fire Prevention Week is October 8th through the 14th. Cooking safety starts with you. Pay attention to fire prevention. I based all the cooking facts in there. They actually have 2 reports that they're actually working on right now. Marty Ahorns did retire, but she likes data, so she's making new reports for us. So they'll bring it up from the 2020 report into this year. And they've got some different approaches that they're looking at to ensure that they get the messages out there, because they're actually looking at, and this is a unique data set that they sent, but they said 88% of home fires are not from gas stoves. They're from electric stoves. And that was 88% of the fire deaths. And I was like, I would not think that, but that's what they reported. So Marty's working on that right now. So there's a push right now to try to get rid of gas stoves And they're also, they're saying that the gas stoves are the problem. Well, 88% of the fire fatalities are from electric stoves, so what really is the problem? I'm no climate specialist. I don't play one on television, and I don't play one in my dreams, but the NFPA is very adamant to ensure that the proper information is set forth. And Dr. Lori Mormero, she's talking about the same thing too. So they're working on trying to make sure that the messages are proper and to the right core of what's necessary. And then we put some highlights as to what you need. Please share them where you can. And as much as important, like you think about, I attached every tip sheet that the NFPA does and has set up for us. And then in other languages, just to let you know, I put all that too, so they 7 different languages that they use, and so they've broken it down to where they can help and support. Again, I want to bring up FABSCOM just to let everybody know that the person that we work with to get our smoke alarms from OmniShield is facing a problem with the chips. Now, we are okay with the amount of smoke alarms that we have. So the fire marshal met with Chris Robertson, who's the president of OmniShield, back in Wilmington at NASM, and we're going to try to help spearhead. There's a whole bunch of different places. Try to get the people that are making the chips for them to step it up, because that he's having problems, and he's afraid that if he can't get these chips, he's going to have to start laying people off. But Maryland, we had been able to order, so we're okay. But that's a huge issue that he's facing, and it's a national problem. So he's very concerned. He met with the NASM board to try to help get some kind of message to these companies, but ultimately, I don't know the whole matter of facts, but I do know that Chris is very, very concerned, and we're one of few states that actually uses this product full, because the other 2 smoke alarms that are there for bed shakers are failing. They're not meeting the standard properly. If you turn your vacuum on, you turn a hair dryer on, you turn your dryer on, the alarms are going off. And then the other one's not even picking up the smoke alarms, what they're supposed to do. So there's a lot of nuances. So hopefully that we can get this fixed. And then social media, again, we're pushing it out as much as possible. Right now we're doing campus fire safety. We're getting that ready to be geared up for the month of September. And then I attached the messaging and stuff for National Fire Prevention Week. And I gave you all the dates, and I hope to see you guys at our next meeting, which is November 4th at the Carroll County Training Center, and that is at 10:30, and that's a joint meeting with the auxiliary at the same time. So I ask that you please attend. We don't just hold it to our committee members. We beg to ask people to come, and it's important that everybody show up and be a part of this, because ultimately it's our time to be out into our communities and be able to make a change. And that effective change is to stop the fire fatalities, fire injuries, and fire deaths. So that is my report.
Okay. Questions for Teresa? I do have one with regard to the shaker alarms and LED. Do you have some information for MSD with respect to the shakers? Haven't heard anything recently with respect to the hearing impaired in our area. And are the LED light activated alarms outside of a bedroom still available?
They are, but we haven't purchased those in a while because we went to this new style. And what's great about this OmniShield program is that you can actually put a, and this is where we've never been able to do this before. We're able to help someone with carbon monoxide. He's the only alarm that can do that. And then there's an app that you can put on your phone. And then if your family members live somewhere else, they can put it on their phone also, or any social media device, or any device, actually, smart device. It'll alert you if there's a problem. So we can get the Teltronic ones still. That's not a problem. But I feel like these are the game changer aspect. This brings it into newer technology. We were told that the visual alarms, the ones that go on the wall, they were trying to not make them anymore. So that's why we had heard that that was happening. So, but we know that they're available. It's just, that's what we're going with. But
Okay.
we'll get you the information.
Yeah, if you can send it to me. I haven't had any inquiries recently, but I know sometimes because of MSD being here in Frederick County, we get a lot.
Yeah.
And the question on LED came is, how do we get notified if we're sitting in the living room and something happens in the kitchen? That's where that LED question comes up.
Yeah. So, and then the ones that Chris has actually has a visual alert too.
Okay.
So they actually have a strobe light that
So you can put one
attacks.
of those, okay.
So that's there too.
Yeah, just shoot
So-
it to me so I can forward it over. Like I said, I haven't heard
Absolutely.
anything recently, but we certainly don't want to, miss the opportunities with we proportionally have the largest deaf
Correct.
community in the state, so we certainly want to be proactive.
I do know that Chris worked with them in the design of this alarm,
Oh,
so it's very possible
Okay.
they know about it already. Because Gallaudet reached out to him also. They were supposed to change out their stuff also. And I can tell you, a gentleman, he's not deaf. He saw these somewhere, and he installed them in his home in Bowie. And he had the app on his phone, and he was an hour away from his house, and it was telling him that he had smoke, and he called 911, and his house was on fire.
Wow, good.
So it's for anybody. I mean, I'm to the point where I want to put it in my parents' house,
Yeah.
because they're 2.5 hours away from me, and not tell my parents that I have the app, and spy on them, because my father likes to do stupid stuff. I don't care. I'll tell the truth. John Christman does not listen.
Not John Christman, not the John Christman.
Not me, John Christman.
Teresa,
Yes.
Very good.
the app part of that, is that an add-on component other than what Fabscom gives?
No, that's part of it.
That's part of
You
it?
can add, we don't, we tell people when they do it that they can get it because it comes in the paperwork.
Okay.
So we don't put it on there. They have to voluntarily put it on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like,
But there's not another component they need to add to the system or whatever? but
Nope,
okay.
nope.
I've got a couple to do, and I know the one individual, just what you said, her dad does stupid things, and I'm sure that she would like to have that app on her phone. So I can,
Oh, yeah.
okay, all right.
sometimes I want to put LoJack on my father. That's a different story, but you know what I mean.
Okay, other questions? I'm sorry.
Fabscom.org. And March 23rd is our fire prevention, so since our committee is responsible for that too, that's at MIFRE. And we have had one meeting just to go over our data from last year. It is at MIFRE at 9 or 8 o'clock in the morning we start. And then we are actively working on the components of that. Yes, it'll be done at the November meeting, and then that's a free concert. So please sign up at MIFRE when we have conference. It's a concert because we have singing alongs. Please, I'm like that person right now, so just please sign up. You know, like it's free. Free's the word. But they will. So Mid-Atlantic, September 19th, be there. It's a great time. We give out nice stuff. And March 23rd, we give out free stuff too. Thank you very much.
Very good. Any further comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Would the ambassadors like to come forward and say hello and speak any further? And I would like to thank first run-up Ashley in particular. We had a small mini muster here with the local antique auto club, and she was nice enough to be there to be with the antiques, both human and vehicles. And thank you, buddy, for bringing up that beautiful American LaFrance. I'll tell you, you got to see this one pumper he has. It is absolutely classic. Welcome, and thank you also for your service and what you do for us.
So I'm Madeline Moore. I am the MSFA Mass Fire Prevention for 2023-2024. Again, I just want to thank everyone, like I said yesterday, for the support that is given to Ashley and I on our fire prevention journey so far. And then, like I said yesterday, I have the the tip sheets that I created with Tracy Ann's help and the Fire Prevention Committee. They are on the fire prevention table in the back, so feel free to grab one. And I do have my project, so if anyone missed it yesterday, you can take a look at that. And then just a fire prevention tip, just to make sure that you test your smoke alarms monthly, since that is a big issue right now. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Ashley Novorchuk. I am the first runner-up for the MSFA Miss Fire Prevention. The only thing I'd like to add from my report yesterday is with everybody returning to college, my platform for my state competition was college fire safety, so I have a lot of different dorm safety and checklist sheets that I have created. I do not have copies with me, but if you give me your email, I'll be happy to email you the whole packet. It's about 10 pages. And again, thank you everybody for all of your support so far. Thank you.
And thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. Okay, Information and Data Systems Branch. We hit it pretty good yesterday, but is there anything further, Chris or Ron? Ron, anything else from the branch? Either one? Very good. Okay, strategic planning. Past President Cox, where'd he go? Steve, you have anything? I'll touch real quick on risk management. Our deductible went up on the vehicles to $1,000. So just make everybody aware. Unfortunately, the last couple of years we've had a few dings and dongs. So
Shame on you.
Just real quick, strategic planning did not meet. We will be meeting before the next executive committee meeting. We had considered meeting during the transitional meeting, but we felt that the information that was being passed on through the president with the committee chairs and then through our recruitment retention was exactly what we needed to be doing. So we figured we'd just wait.
thank you. Past President's Committee. Past President Steger.
Good morning. We'd just like to remind everybody that signed up that the past president's picnic will be on September 9th. And I gave them the totals yesterday, so if you didn't sign up, let me know. We can still get you there. And also, with the passing of past President Fred Cross, who was the vice chairman of the past president's committee, we have selected Steve Cox to fill that position. Thank you.
Any questions for past President Cox or past President Steger? Hearing none, moving forward. Transportation Committee, I know Wayne is not here. Bill, anything with respect to transportation? And I'll get a hold of Mitch here in a minute.
The only thing I have is I saw Wayne's report in the MSFA weekly report for county associations and partners about your, let me get to it. Reminder MSFA tags and 5-year recertification stuff is all written down right there. So just that's the only thing I know of that he would have. So that's all that's it for right now.
Yep, and please keep an eye on that. That goes out to every weekly report to make sure, so that's a major issue. Past President Cox.
Presidential vehicle. The tags were changed yesterday. We were trying to confuse the first vice president so that he could search for a vehicle. But they do have the proper tags on them now. The president has the MSFA tag. First vice president has one. Second vice president has two. Other than that, unless somebody has a comment.
He does.
And I do want to, before he gets lost, he does not have a front tag because we have it on order, and that has thrown him off all night long.
We're just telling you to drive backwards all the time, but we'll have a tag in the front. Just put them in reverse. That's right, we don't want him backing up, I'm sorry. We don't have the backup alarm yet.
Actually, we can check to see if we can put a backup alarm in the budget, but we did have a discussion, the committee, and we were thinking about if we buy a new car, if we could put mirrors on it that are about 4 by 8 on each side so that he can keep an eye on what's behind him.
You know, Teresa might be able to get a couple of those shakers to put under the seat too, so they'll know.
You know you can't fire any of us till next year.
Go ahead,
Next year you
Skip.
can fire us, but this year you got it ready.
There are a lot of things which come to my mind to say. But I would say just this. You all are good friends. Very good friends. But I would also like to point out, if you notice the president's attire, and you notice whatever he is, the past president's attire, I'm the only one that looks normal. Keep that in mind. And we really need to get a picture of that, because usually I'm the one that looks abnormal, and they look normal. Thank you for being my friends, all of you.
Mr. President, Vice President, we love you.
Actually, we could take the picture in front of the car if we could find the right one.
Well, Roger pulled in ahead too, so the tag's out back, so we can find it right there.
Wonderful report. Nothing like laughing on a Sunday morning. A little bit of spirit. Past President John Denver, would you like to give your meeting marketing and events committee report from yesterday, and then from there we'll jump into the member benefits branch. So go ahead, John.
Good morning. I'd like to start the report off with something that's really important, and I need to make sure that the Assistant Secretary gets this, that the Orioles did come back last night and win. I just wanted to...
That is correct.
Part
And the
of
night before.
Carrying on a discussion from last night. So, for the marketing events, the committee hosted a booth at both the Maryland Municipal League and at the MACO conferences. MML was the week after the convention, and MACO was about a week or so ago. It's important that we work with both those very influential organizations. They have a tremendous amount of influence in Annapolis and across the state. And we also, when we're there, we have the opportunity, as Bob Phillips mentioned yesterday, to meet with federal, state, county, and municipal elected officials and build relationships there and start to get some discussion started. So we think that's great. And one nice plus this year was our presence there. We were able to have a short meeting with the governor as he was moving through the hall. So that was great there. So I would like to thank both President Smothers and Bob Phillips for their assistance with the booth there at MACO. If there are no questions, that ends the marketing events.
Thank you, John. And MACO is very important. I don't think a lot of people realize what John's talking about. That they're not play days. They're great opportunities to get in with the officials, both in the municipalities and MACO. MACO was a staunch supporter and really probably helped push residential sprinklers over the top several years ago. They had a committee together. There was a strong push to weaken the bill, and MACO was very, very proactive on that. So they are good partners in several of these events, and it's certainly worth it for us to go there and thank John and presidents and those that attend those events, because it certainly is good for us to be in front of the municipal leaders and county leaders.
I would add that I know, in being in Annapolis during some of the testimony, quite often one of the first questions was, well, what's MACO's position on this piece of legislation? So building and maintaining those relationships is vital for us in Annapolis.
Yep, absolutely. Any other questions for Past President Denver regarding the events? Okay, Buddy,
John-
go ahead, I'm sorry. Randy?
John, I just want to say thank you for taking the time sitting here at Mako, you know, and you know, that's a long time to sit there for a couple days, and I certainly was glad to help you out. But just as a point of note, when we have our events like that, if you've signed up and you can't make it, please let us know so we can get some people to backfill, and we'll kind of send up a little flag. That way, if we don't have one person sitting there for 2 days, but you know, kind of by themselves, and it is a good pass-through. We did have a lot of elected officials stop and, you know, speak not only about what we do, trying to find out what we do, but also ask about legislation. So it is a good time for us to show up. So if you're available for those events, please help us out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Anything else for Past President Denver? Okay, we'll move into the member benefits branch. And John, touch on the Reaching Next Generation, please.
The committee did a report to the leadership at the organizational meeting at College Park, and we showed some videos. And before I go any further, I would like to thank both Jonathan and Stephen for their tremendous work there. The videos, which a number of people talked about why they got involved in the association, I think are very important. And also, Stephen was able to take a kind of a bland, which fits most PowerPoint presentations, a bland PowerPoint presentation, and make it into something that looked like an absolutely professional marketing effort on the information I put together on the structure and bylaws of the state association. So I want to thank both Jonathan and Stephen for their hard work. They've really been helpful, tremendously helpful to the committee. So the videos will be out on the website shortly. And again, so everyone understands the thought process there, we talked about putting a group of people together, and traditional kind of fire service, put a group together, have a bunch of training sessions, maybe some tours and such. It wasn't working. We just weren't getting the people there. So the thought was to try to get to the people that we wanted to attract by heavy presence in social media. So that was the thought of the videos and some of the other information that would direct people to the State Association website. So again, would like to hear. We work with a lot of partner organizations, and initially, pre-COVID, thought about trying to put together maybe tours of some of those organizations. The thought now is to have a part of our webpage that would describe how we interact with those partner organizations, and then include a link to their website so our members will understand how we work together, and if they want more information, where they can get it. Speaking of which, we'd like to try to develop a kind of a one-stop shop webpage for Reaching the Next Generation that would have links to the videos, have links to all the documents, have links to our partner organizations, have the link to where you can, the form that we use for you to show interest in becoming active or becoming a committee member, have that on there, have information on the committees on there. So that's what we're looking at for the web page, again, so that the information's all there somewhere, but you got to spend some time going to different places to find it. And the idea is to make this as simple and straightforward as we can. You want to learn something about Reaching Next Generation or getting involved with the association, go right here, and that information is all there for you to see. One of the things that we want to do, again, we tend to make decisions based on our experience. But the problem is, across the state of Maryland, the volunteer experience in one county can vary widely from the experience in another county. And so sometimes that maybe hurts our decision-making a little bit, because we're not, what might be great for our county and in our experience might be a problem for someone else. So one of the things that we want to do is a kind of a quick questionnaire. In the past, I looked at this again in the time of before COVID, of having a panel discussion. But again, another way to skin that same cat is to have the information available on website. So we want to get a questionnaire out to each of the counties to talk about their county, the strengths of their system, whether they're part of a county fire department or just an individual department in a county, because that makes real differences in how quickly they can react to things, and often differences in the amount of funding that they receive. But the idea is to have that information, so if someone wants to get information on the counties, it's there. The challenge there is keeping it current, keeping it up to date. But that's one of the directions that we want to go in. The last thing that I wanted to mention is at the last meeting, we recommended the establishment of an award which would recognize and encourage young leaders, new leaders. And the association, the executive committee directed that to go to the awards committee. The awards committee has responded to me. They had a few kind of, I don't want to say technical, but organization specifying some dates and clearing up the language a little bit, which I think is terrific. And so would like to recommend that the association does go ahead and establish that award that we would want to present for the first time at the convention in June. So that concludes my report.
Motion from Mr. Sutton, second by Mr. Dayton. Any further questions?
The
Mr.
number
Dayton.
6, it says a plaque. There's also a ribbon that they can put on their Class A with that.
Not presently, but I think that's definitely should be, yes.
I think that's something that again that promotes the award.
I think that is
Ribbon
is important.
Okay, that would be in consideration of the awards committee. Very good. Any other comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you. I do think that will be a helpful tool for us.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay. Mark?
I don't know if this is the appropriate place to bring it up, but several years ago, this association became a not-for-profit, 501c3. And I was wondering, and I should know this and I don't, and I apologize. And again, this may not be the appropriate place, but I was wondering, has the association taken any steps or considered any steps to promoting that we are a 501c3 and to try and solicit donations for the association? I know the budget chair says we have plenty of money and other things, but I know there for a while we were trying to get money for scholarships, but again, overall as the association, is there a plan or can we develop a plan to market ourselves to organizations that are looking to make donations to some extent to the association to help with our operations and what we do as far as fire prevention, as far as life safety, as far as education, scholarships. But again, sort of like, you know, our fire company does a fund drive every year. You see programs on TV supporting St. Jude and different programs. And I was just wondering, have we considered something like that since becoming a 501c3 and again promoting the organization and soliciting donations maybe on a broader level than what we have now. And again, I don't know if that's something for your committee or something the presidents need to talk about, or this body, but again, that's just a thought I had of what we could do as far as utilizing our status to bring in income to the association, again, to support our program.
I think that'd almost be a separate committee, don't you, John? I mean, I see where he's coming from, but I don't want to take it away from marketing the association versus fundraising. It's almost two different arms. So.
I think, too, that we need to involve a number of people, the presidents, the treasurer, convention committee. I mean, I know in the past there's been concern about people going out in the name of the association.
Stepping on each other. Yep.
Yeah, and hitting the same business multiple times. And that, having been on the other side, that can be an issue.
Yep.
So, but I think that's a discussion we should have. And I think that's a group we should put together and decide if we're going to do it. Let's put a process together so that we're not stepping on toes. We're not.
Mr. Past President, maybe a strategic planning committee item to look at?
And we certainly can. We also have the process in place that no one's to go out and solicit any funds without communication through the budget committee, because we did have an issue a few years ago where somebody went to a vendor. The vendor was supplying the convention committee about $10,000, and they were asking for $5,000, and they were going to cut the convention committee for a $500. That's why we put the process in place. They have to check with the budget committee, but strategic planning will take that.
And one thing, and Doyle, just a question, I don't know off the top of my head. I know at our fire department and our museum, we have at the bottom just a notation, we are a nonprofit 501c3, subject to all that. Is that on our letterhead? I think we should at least add that something simple, because one, it says we're a nonprofit, but two, it kind of also markets the fact that we're a nonprofit without marketing. And it gives people, I think, a little bit of a sense of confidence that the money or whatever they're doing is going to a nonprofit, even though it's something we normally get. That extra information on the bottom of the stationery, I think, kind of reinforces that fact that we are a 501c3 nonprofit and meets all the code requirements. So that may be one thing as we do the next round of stationery, not throw 50,000 pieces of paper away and try over again. But our next round of stationery, start incorporating that in everything we do. Okay. Absolutely. I think it's a natural. I mean, it's just telling what we are. It's no different from putting our name down or our slogan. To me, that's my personal opinion. Unless there's an objection to it, I think it makes perfect sense. And I'll send you the wording that we have if you want, Kate, that we use. Okay. We'll do, Mr. Vice President or Mr. Secretary. Okay. Who else? Okay. Any other comments?
Certainly support that by a motion.
Okay. So moved by Steve. Second by Randy. That we will incorporate, not throw anything away and change it, but incorporate the information regarding 501c3 on our documents and website. Is that pretty close?
That's just what I said.
Very good. All in favor signify. Any other questions? All in favor signify saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. That's done. Okay, we've gone through reaching next generation. Any other questions for John? Recruitment and retention. Mr. Dayton.
Good morning, everyone. I think that you received most of the information yesterday from Kate, so I thank Kate for providing that to you. We did meet on August 17th. Unfortunately, attendance was low at the committee meeting, as I think that it would be concurred with Reaching Next Gen. I think that committee meeting last time was also low in attendance. All of the MSFA staff from the SAFER grant that was hired was in attendance, so I thank them for being there. We talked about a few things. Of course, Kate had covered most of that for you already. One of the things that was brought up at the beach was Spanish-speaking material for departments to utilize that have those types of populations within their first due. So that is underway. Also, something that was not mentioned yesterday was the fall recruiter retention forum. We're looking at having that held again in College Park sometime in October. Tentative date, I believe, was October 21st. The committee talked about how that would look, and in previous years, we have had a forum or boot camp where a lot of recruiters come to, learn about and hear about other speakers talk about, ways that they could recruit and retain members. While we found that, was very important to continue, we also realized that the same people show up year after year after year and get the same exact material year after year after year. So how that we could change that up. So this particular forum will be dedicated to advertising the existing resources that the MSFA has, including the Maryland Volunteer website and a lot of our information. Part of the forum would also be dedicated to brainstorming. So we have monies through SAFER, and of course the committee is there to support our members. We want to hear exactly from them what they need from us. So part of that boot camp forum will be to listen to our membership. And the second half will be dedicated towards training, topic-specific training. So a few breakout sessions for members that want to learn more about social media, want to learn more about how to design print, how to utilize design tools for flyers and posters. And so it'll be kind of a three-part day in form for our membership to attend. So more forthcoming on that. Just save the date, October 21st. With that, I yield any questions, but I think Kate did an excellent job yesterday with reporting out, and we have one in the back.
The Honorable Wayne Powell from Emmitsburg is recognized.
Jonathan, thank you very much. For those of you that are members of the National Volunteer Fire Council, no doubt you saw this in recent days, and Tiger Mittendorf, who spoke to us at Ocean City in June, has really hit on something that I think is a tremendous opportunity that we ought to try to take advantage of. I'll be happy to help you with that, Jonathan. And that is targeting military veterans to become members of the volunteer service. If you haven't seen that written up, I encourage you to go on the NVFC website. I'll send you the 3 recent references the last few days. Tiger is amazing in so many different ways. But the men and women that come out of the military possess incredible skills. Many of them naturally want to continue that sort of camaraderie that they experienced when they were in the service. And I think that, in our years on the old Recruitment and Retention Committee, we never ever thought of that. So if that's of any value, let me know. I'll try to help you on that. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions for Jonathan? Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Scholarship Committee? Susan, you got that? Okay.
I was voluntold. Good morning, Executive Committee members and officers and guests. My name is Susan Mott. I am on the Scholarship Committee. Our chairperson, Lynn Hawkins, is unable to be here today. The MSFA Scholarship Committee is excited to share that we received 8 applicants for 2023. The committee awarded scholarships in the amount of $14,000 to the following recipients: Robert Brower, MSFA Scholarship; Margaret Keswick, Delmarva Power Scholarship; Dylan Ballantyne, MSFA Scholarship; Griffin Brooks, Shock Trauma Board of Visitors Scholarship. We've sent checks to the schools for Margaret Keswick and Griffin Brooks. Currently, we are still waiting for information from Robert and Dylan. Our next meeting schedule is for September the 12th. Do I have any questions from the floor?
Questions or comments? And this is a recruitment tool, friends. This is an opportunity for young people to get involved and actually have an opportunity to do a scholarship with us. So this is another recruitment tool.
Very much so.
Hearing none?
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Susan. Cancer Support Committee. Anybody want to report on that? Where are we at?
Is this mic on?
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Ron.
I see that Randy Beavers is still listed here as a presenter. She resigned from that as the chairman of that committee back in May or June. That's up to the president. I do not know.
Do we have someone appointed to that, Mr. President, at this point?
Not yet, but I will take anybody's recommendation. So.
And this has been a valuable group that's worked together over the last several years with respect to the Cancer Network and how it's affected the fire service and our members. So it is a very important committee, so please make consideration and contact the president or myself, and we'll certainly would love to have you aboard. Thank you, Mr. President. NVFC, I know Dave is not here. Does somebody have a report for National Life? Okay. Pastor John.
The next NVFC meeting, fall meeting, will be in Cooperstown, September 20th to the 23rd, and Dave and myself will be up there for the meeting.
Great place. Go to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Been there several times. Mr. Secretary, you were kind of leaning this way. Do you have a comment you need to make? Okay. I saw you kind of leaning as I was talking, so just making sure. Okay, Doyle, thank you. Okay, the attorney is not here for Wheels for Heroes, but I can tell you he is making those accommodations where necessary. If somebody has any questions, I've actually had 2 referrals to him in the last several months, and he's been very helpful. So for those individuals, that is available through our attorney. Do you have a Kate? Go ahead. I'll check with Mike. I don't know. I'll check with Mike. We'll do. Thank you. Okay, I know Mr. Hemphill's not here, is he? Okay, anybody have a report for low SAP and incentives? Okay, Health and Wellness Committee, Teresa.
The subcommittees for the health and wellness have been meeting. We're going to have a meeting in the next couple of weeks, bringing back everybody from what they've been working on task force-wise. We do have one of our committee members presenting at Mid-Atlantic, Randy from MIMS, about some of the things that they're dealing with. And then if you have someone that wants to be a part of this committee that does it, like I asked 2 years ago, and maybe I should do it again, but I need to know if you all have peer support within your own counties and who you have, because ultimately that's how we're going to get this message out. So I will resend to you guys a sheet that you can fill in that information, and then it comes back to me, and that we can make sure that these people are a part of this committee. I have a lot of people around the state. They're not just from one area. They're all over the place, career and volunteer. This is not a wall that we're going to separate. So from the eastern shore to the western side, all the way up, I got people all over the place. So, but if you have someone that is already doing this, please let me know. I have to get with Eric about the training that is going to be working out. So once we find out what that is, we'll get that taken care of. So they are actively doing different parts of this. We're creating a toolbox for the chaplains, and Chappie just had a chaplains training, so that was some of the things that he talked about. So we're just getting that information out there as much as possible. But if you have someone that's vested into this type of program, I really need to know that so that we can get that information to them. I don't want to miss an opportunity that we're doing all this work and then there's somebody already helping, so we want to include them. And I did talk to Mike Wells from the union. They have a training this week, but he just told me the other day about it. We'll send it out, so if anybody has it available, it's Monday and Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm sorry. I'll verify the dates, but it's free. Again, you don't have to be a union member to go to that training. They just want everybody to get the information out there. And I did talk to Augie Augustine, who's a senator from Prince George's County, during the summer about finding more peer support efforts. Just to let you all know, I don't know if Chief Phillips talked about it yesterday, but we had a meeting with one of the delegates from the state, and Ann's going to try to work out getting, we gave her the PSOB, declared line of duty death for suicide, the federal outline, and they're going to try to put that into the Maryland side. So hopefully that will move forward this year. I don't know what this session's going to be like. I really don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces still. They're moving people around. They're taking committee chairmen out of spots and putting freshman people in, and it's going to be a struggle. And I was told by Ben Barnes, good luck. So even he feels it's the importance of having it in there. So Ben was adamant, like he would make sure that we would try to get that into the presumption bills, because ultimately we have to protect and support. And efforts of education was some of the things that they were supposed to work on us from the appropriation side. So hopefully that can move forward, because we did have a couple of bills in this year and they went nowhere. So that was very frustrating. So ultimately we're working as much as possible, but I'll get with President Smothers to get that other training that he wants to do, get it out there. So that's it on that.
Very good. Any questions for Teresa?
Can I do Bessie Marshall, because I didn't see it on the
Yeah,
the
go
thing.
ahead. Missed it yesterday. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So far since the transition of June, we've had 3 cases so far that are going to be submitted for payment. That's $3,060, 2 in Allegheny and 1 in Carroll. I'm sitting on 5 cases currently right now. 2 were sent back to the actual member because they had not a doctor or the proper signage. They actually had a nurse sign off on it, and we can't allow that. So that prompted us to really look at the application. And working with the committee, we redesigned the application itself. I'm going to get with Kate to get it on the MSFA side and the LAMSFA side to ensure that the instructions are clear to everybody. What I also did, and a lot of people will call and ask about notaries, we gave them the Maryland, the District of Columbia, Virginia, West Virginia, and Delaware, and Pennsylvania notary locations. So if they need to find a notary, they can go on there and do the research and they can find it. And not unless, because some people, like, they call me thinking I can notarize something I can't. So we wanted to do that. So this is a fillable form for the member section only, and the rest is because they have to print it out and take it to the doctor or to the fire station for their certifications and their station seals. It's there for them. We were very strategic in doing this because we wanted to make sure that everybody saw this as an opportunity to support, just making it a lot easier for them to understand. And then we do have 2 cases that were submitted March and April of last year, but they were given the funds in July of last year. This is a fiscal program, fiscal calendar program. We sent them back to the 2 of them and explained to them that, you know, you already got it in 2022 technically. This is 2023. And they see, oh, well, because you gave it to me then, I can get it again. But it broke the cycle. So we told them to wait till this August and July to facilitate the next steps. I have not heard back from them. And then I'm going to talk to our committee about the 3 that we just got in the mail. So working on it, it's just, you know, we're moving ahead. Again, yesterday, thank you all to those who bought tickets for the picture. That was taken by my sister. And I was like, Patty, guess what? So thank you very much. We're always looking for different things to bring to you guys.
Teresa, when you say nurse, do you accept nurse practitioner or PAs?
So
Business
we
assistants?
broke that down so everybody
Okay.
knows what we did.
Because a lot of people do not see a doctor. They
Yep.
see one or the other. And
So
wanna
we
just make
have
sure.
medical doctor, we have certified registered nurse practitioner, certified nurse practitioner, and nurse practitioner. Those are the 4 legal groups can sign this document.
But not physician assistant.
No. I was told a physician assistant was allowed, and then I was told they don't have that authority. So we had that on there, and then after clarification again, because
Okay.
It is what it is.
Wasn't aware. What-
But those 4 are the ones that are allowed, and it's checked on here so that they know
Very
that
good.
that's who's going to do it.
Okay, very good.
But when it was just a nurse, like they were just
Oh,
a
yeah,
nurse.
I understand. I
attending
just want to make
nurse.
sure we had
Yeah.
the other practitioners. Very good.
So that's that.
Okay,
So-
any other questions for Teresa?
And then
Very good.
I'll get with them to get it on the
On the website, yep.
Thank you.
Any other committees that did not get called forward and need a report? Hearing none, we'll move into old business and go ahead. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just got a message from past President Dave Lewis. Sends his regrets, was unable to be here, but he did submit electronically his reports for the Grants Committee and the National Volunteer Fire Council.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Any other reports? Very good. We'll move into old business. The very first thing we'd like to touch on is the name change. I'd like to make a few comments before we start. First, tell you a story about somebody I used to work with. His name was Hiley Orndorff, passed away a few weeks ago. Great guy, but he spoke his mind and did what he wanted to do and made sure people understood it. So one day he got a little frustrated with county government and brought in a sign and posted it. And it said, "Getting things done around here is like mating elephants. It's done at a high level with a lot of yelling and screaming and takes 2 years to get results." And when you look at some of the major changes we've made at the MSFA since I've been involved, I look at the president's car. Great idea, took a long time. Oh my gosh, I didn't get one, he shouldn't get one. If he doesn't have enough money to run for president, he shouldn't be president. Well, it took about 2 years, and now we have 3 cars. We have an auxiliary car and an executive director's car. So it was actually a very good thing, but it took a little time to mature. So then we got talking about executive director. My gosh, how many years did we talk about having an executive director? It's going to ruin the volunteers. It's going to put us out of business, blah, 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 blah. And again, it took us about 2 years or so, and we all know it was probably one of the best things we ever did. So I think it's time for us to deliver a new baby elephant. If you look in the bylaws, it states first that the executive committee submits amendments or a member company. And by bylaws, we actually do not even apply to them today because we tell everything to go to the bylaws committee, but the bylaws committee says it actually comes to the executive committee. So our founding fathers really looked to the executive committee to take the leadership. And I think it's time for us to take the leadership. I think the association name change needs to be Maryland State Firefighters Association. And if you look, the majority of our member companies did vote for that in Ocean City, did not make 66 2/3, but we did have a majority. Firefighters creates the least amount of change and issues with respect to our league logo. We don't have to change anything but one word. Our acronym, MSFA, nothing changes. Every year we change a lot of our stationery and such anyway because the president's name's on there, so there's not as drastic effect as perceived. I know most people are upset, yours included, and everybody sitting at this table and in this room probably, about how this has come about through legislators and politicians enforcing us. We all know that. We all disagree with it. We all hate it. But in reality, it's something that we definitely have to take a very serious look at. We have to do something because it will once again create issues this year in legislation and every year thereafter. People forget Maryland has one of the most liberal General Assemblies in the United States. It's not going to change. We've got to do something. It'll be a much more positive marketing with the word firefighters. It is a recruitment. I mean, we're talking about recruiting young people. So we're going to recruit firemen. I think that's going to create an issue. It has to have, at least to some extent, an issue. So it's a more positive marketing material. It's a positive public image for us. We are trying to reach out to the public, be a part of our... We need to make sure people understand who we are and that we truly are all-encompassing and diversified. It's way overdue. We've talked about it way over probably 10 years or more. I know at least 10 years and longer than that. And several of our presidents in the last two and some before that have had to address it. And just that simply, it's the right thing to do. We've been beating this around, and it's going to continue to beat us over the head if we don't take a positive action. Personal opinion, what I'd like to see happen is a motion today by the executive committee to submit the amendment, followed by discussion, followed by tabling the motion vote till December to allow all of our executive committee members time to discuss it at their county meetings, to look at the pros and cons, and to take the vote in December. That still gives time for input for our companies, and hopefully most people will understand that we've got to move forward. We can't keep this daggone rock around our neck forever. We've been talking and doing it. You can love it, you can hate it. I totally and 100% agree this has been really outlandishly handled by political influence, but the bottom line is we are a political organization whether we love it or not, and that's part of that game. We hate to play it, but poor Bob Phillips in the legislative committee, Steve's been there, a lot of people in this room been there. You go to Annapolis, and yeah, somebody's going to tell you one thing, but I guarantee you, if a certain senator says, well, if you do this, I'll vote for this, or vice versa, and what they tell you, what goes on behind closed doors, who knows? So I am hopeful that the leadership of this executive committee takes a leadership role and moves this forward. That is the end of my comments. The floor is open. Buddy?
Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Steve?
I'll yield to the president.
No,
now.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
A few days ago, 1985, in fact, I was fire chief of Bel Air for the first time, and we brought on a young lady that was a past chief's daughter, and not knowing the political arena and not knowing how MSFA did things, I stood up on the floor of the convention and made a motion that we change our name to Maryland State Firefighters Association. Bel Air has been behind it ever since. In order to facilitate discussion, I'll make the motion that the executive committee submit the proposal that the name of the organization be the Maryland State Firefighters Association.
Motion been made by past President Cox, seconded by Chief Sutton. Further discussion.
Feelings into it. And that's what this is all about, is huge, big feelings and emotions. I cannot tell you how respectful I feel sitting in this chair. And I'm telling you, to be involved with this is a history-making event. And we have been going through this for years. Not days, not weeks, not months, years. And we're there now. If this is another step to get it done, well, it's just another step to get it done. I encourage all of us to go back to our departments, go back to our county, continue to have the debate, continue to have the conversation. It was voted on. Our own bylaws are the reason why we had to do both. So maybe this is a year. Maybe this is the year it's going to happen. Chairman Rule, thank you for speaking up and getting us started in this conversation. And for the past years of everybody involved, from the chiefs, the president, that have tried to move this forward, thank you for your efforts. This is where we are. This is the steps we've got to take. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Further comments?
Okay. Go ahead,
Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, and I have personally, since I'm in a leadership role in Prince George's County, I have, since the convention, and most of you know before the convention, I was not for Firefighters Association, and however, seeing the results of the votes at the convention, and Firefighters Association only lost by 132 votes of the 2/3 required, which we need. There has to be more than just a simple majority to change our Constitution. That's just those are the rules we live by. But I have spoke about this at every meeting since then, the July meeting and the August meeting at Prince George's County, and I will continue to speak about it. And I am in full favor. I am for making it Firefighters Association, because that seems to be what the majority of the people and the majority of the member companies in this association want. So I think we've got to keep speaking about this and keep pushing it. And I've told them to stick our head in the sand and beat our hands together and stomp our feet. It's not doing us any good. It's just harming us. So that's just my opinion of it.
I couldn't have said it any better either, Chip, and what Steve said too. And I referenced it yesterday. There's not one meeting in this state that I don't go to, or when a delegate or senator speaks to me, asks about our name change. Not one. I've been to 2 conventions so far out of state, and they've been brought up out of state. When are you guys going to change your name? What are you looking at? Is it going to happen this year? That's a big question mark. Just got brought up at Cumberland Valley. You know, they're in the same boat that we're in, you know, by having Firemen in their acronym, and they just took an initiative to have theirs looked at. Cumberland Valley. It's just out in West Virginia. They're the same way. So you see where we are? It's not going to change. You know, the past presidents in front of me have been dealing with this issue. It's not going to go away for these 2 men coming behind me, and it's an anchor for us. I understand the historical footprint that we have laid here over the years, and it's been great. But sometimes we have to change with the times, whether you like it because or don't like it. We understand the politics of it, and I understand that, and that just makes folks dig their heels in. We've got to get beyond that. If we're going to be effective around this state and be effective in Annapolis or anywhere else that we go, then we need to be proactive and come up with one name, because once you get beyond 2 or 3 names, it's going to fail. So, one, I'm asking folks not to do that, you know, but have one name. And then we're only changing one name in our acronym. We're still MSFA. We're just going from firemen to firefighter. It's very simple. It's very clean, and that's what the majority of the folks tend to want. So I get it. But if we don't make a forward change here, it is going to hurt this organization, and it's starting to do that. None of the partners have weighed in yet. But, you know, to me, because we haven't changed our name, that has ripple effects downstream. When we're asking for money for MSOF, we're asking for money for BCAF. I have no idea what goes behind the scenes of when it goes to Annapolis and folks get together. They can do whatever they want. They can tell us, yep, they're going to be supportive of us, and we know they are. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm not trying to beat up our legislators. They're very supportive of what we do, okay? But they have constituents too. And we have men and women of our fire service, you know, rescue service, EMS service, you know. I'm an EMS nut, you know. I'd like us to be Maryland State Fire and Rescue, but that's not what folks want, and I'm okay with that. But we at least got to change the men to firefighters going forward, and I'm hoping that we can garner support, that I can garner support as we go around to the associations. I'm asking the executive committee. I know, guys, you're gonna, you know, if I had my bulletproof vest out in my car, I'd loan it to you. So, because I know what we're up against. I know what we're up against, and there's no easy way to say it. We're going to have opposition to it, and people are going to. It's going to be a heated debate again. But moving forward, if you want us to be successful, I can't make it any plainer. If you want us to continue to be successful and to continue to have the respect that we have across this state, then we need to change our names. And it needs to happen in June of this coming year, next year, actually.
Thank you, Mr. President. The other thing to remember is the last 2 years, this issue has probably cost every single person sitting in this room tax money. Both years it's failed, it's stayed in committee. And you can't prove it, but politically, why didn't it come out of committee when one side of the legislature votes for it and the other side leaves it in the committee? I think it's pretty evident what was going on. This does not stop a company from putting in an amendment. I am hopeful that understanding the critical nature of this and the executive committee taking the leadership position, that companies will not, but somebody could put in Maryland State Hook and Ladder and Hose Company. There's nothing we can do about it. But I think this gives a very positive leadership position to hopefully move forward. Anybody on the executive committee prior to the chaplain? Mr. Past President.
Thank you. Under remarks, I know many of you have heard me say it for years because I've been chairman of the budget committee for years and years, and also past chairman of the legislative committee. And I've said many, many, many times, and I think we've seen it, and we've actually dodged a bullet this past year, that we have many benefits that our forefathers put in place. And we talked about Governor Taw's yesterday, and we talked about past presidents. And the road that was laid for us, where we have some clout in Annapolis, we don't have what we used to have, by far. But that was laid. And for us to have prime real estate at 17 State Circle at $1 a year, we used to have a lease that was a 99-year lease. Well, the state kind of tightened that up, that they can yank that at any time. And I have stated many, many, many times, and I've told this executive committee, previous executive committees, be careful, because the law says the governor will fund the Maryland State Firemen's Association. And we have partner agencies. Doesn't say it will fund the Fire Chiefs Association. Doesn't say it will fund Metro Fire Chiefs. Doesn't say it will fund anybody but Maryland State Firemen's Association. And it says to the tune of $1. We receive a lot more than $1. The governor at any point, and we talked about it, and it's no secret, we spoke about it, that if the senator was influential and got to the governor, our funding could have been $1 this year, could be next year, or any other time, and the governor has met the intent of the law. They can take 17 State Circle with the sweep of a pen. We need to proceed and proceed in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Past President. Any other executive committee comments before I move to the floor? Chaplain John?
I conferred with our attorney yesterday, and we are registered as doing business as the Maryland State Firefighters Association. So why can't the executive committee today say, let's go ahead and change our logo like New York State did? New York State, all they did was did a DBA to Firefighters Association State of New York, and all their stuff was redone, their letterhead and their logos, everything was done, but they're still the Firemen's Association State of New York. The reason being because they have a retirement home and they didn't want to have problems with that. But the executive committee could say, as of today, we're going to change our logo, change the artwork, and I think we have a long ways to go to get the bylaw changed in June if people start seeing the logos changed already.
Thank you for your comments. Stand by. Randy, go ahead.
Wouldn't that be disingenuous to have members not having input?
Personally, I think so, but everybody's welcome to their opinions. So we'll accept opinions, and then we'll go forward. Yeah, that's my personal opinion too, Randy. I think we need to keep it as a open dialogue and moving forward so that everybody knows what's going on. I think and that's the other reason I like to see it tabled till December. So get it right. Very good.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
From a slightly different angle, there are some senior folks in this room who have been around for a while and who have been around Annapolis on occasion for quite a while. This past year, the election was rather dramatic, although the press didn't seem to make a big deal of it. Those of us that were relatively close noticed a big difference. The gray-haired old guys like me are gone. There was this wave swept into Annapolis with new people. I think, I didn't check the list, but my opinion right now is I believe female committee chairs outnumber male committee chairs in the legislature. It's either 50-50 or tilted to the ladies. No disrespect, just stating a fact. The other thing that happened with the new folks coming in and people that may have only had one-term seniority being elevated to a committee chair, which happened in at least one case that I'm aware of, these folks didn't have a whole lot of restraint. The previous administration brought a large budget surplus to the table. The new folks have spent it. We're sitting pretty close to the edge of a fiscal cliff at the moment. How it would affect us specifically in the broader scheme of things, I'm not sure. But I'm aware that the possibility is there, it could change things. I'm sorry Bob Phillips is not here today, but I think I'd be relatively close to the money when I say that the legislative committee has been working overtime, so to speak, trying to build relationships with new people. In some cases, we've been quite successful. Other cases are currently up in the air at the moment. But those of you who are close to legislatures in your home districts, I think you need to spread the word about the MSFA, who we are, what we do, and the importance of our organization's very existence to the fire service in the state of Maryland. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Harp. President Mott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually not going to speak as President Mott. I'm going to speak as Susan Mott, and someone that's been in the fire service for many, many years. And as a female who, I remember the days at Westminster when I was like, can you do this? I'm like, try me and see what happens. I think it's very sad that we are being forced to do something. However, we have an obligation to continue to do what we do. And if it's just a matter of changing one word, I don't see any reason why this committee and or the state and the membership should not support that, because it's not going to change our mission. It's simply going to give us the ability to continue our mission. I thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Further comment from either the executive committee or the floor? Executive Director Kate.
I'm versatile. I've been pretty quiet about this just because of my position, and I don't want to, I've kind of let things fold out, and people who I've spoken to personally know my opinion on the matter. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about how other states look at us, how they like to emulate us, or they're looking to lean on us for our expertise, whether it's our partnerships with our state agencies, our EMS, which in my opinion is second to none. I think we people are watching. People are looking to see what we do. I mean, Cumberland Valley has already jumped, to change their name, as President Smothers just talked about. The ball is rolling, and either we're going to get left behind, and it's going to impact us in all the ways that we've already talked about. But I feel like because of our stature in other areas, we would do ourselves a disservice to fall behind for this reason. So just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm very aware and very appreciative of all the input on this issue since day one. It's very passionate. It's historical. I mean, nobody between Frank and I, it's a very, very historical and passionate issue. And I know there's a lot of negativity. I know politically where it came, but everybody has a passion for this association and has a part of it in their heart. And I understand the opposition. I understand the heated discussions and the very, very lively discussions. It's not a bad thing. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. And that's why I think, and I agree with Mr. Smith, that this is something that does need to go back out to the field so people understand what we're doing, why we're doing, and take our time to do it right, to make sure that we're not trying to slam something behind somebody, that this is an issue that has to be addressed, and it has to be done in an open fashion. So that's why I'm hoping that we can table this till December. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the Executive Committee meeting in December in Berlin, I guess 2 years ago, I announced that I wanted to run for position of second vice president. The biggest issue then was just what we're talking about now. I'd like to thank you for what you said today. I'd like to thank you for what I hope it will achieve, so that when I have my executive committee meeting in Berlin in not this coming December, but the next one, this will not be an issue. I would really like to have that. As I'm 4 years, Roger's coming. Hey, be nice. The other thing is, I'm a traditionalist. I like the history and I like that. But contrary to what past President Steger says, I did not work with the horses. So therefore, I never shoveled coal. I was not a fireman. I've been a firefighter for 58 years. And we're wasted, like has been said, too damn much time on, as you said, a simple word. We're not talking about saving lives. We're not talking about people that have been injured. We're talking about a stupid word, and it's too much. I do not want to see this, like I say, we come, and I hope and pray that what you're trying to do works. Now, I can't speak for the gentleman coming after me, and maybe I won't even be there. I don't know. I might upset somebody between now and then. Thank you for your time, and please do what the chairman is suggesting. Go back, and if you have to engrave it on a railroad spike and drive it in one of their ears, do it so that they get the message and know what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. It might be just a little drastic, but Mr. Vice President, Second Vice President, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't said it any better, which is kind of awkward following him. But but no, I mean, we've had some great conversation here, and I truly believe that this is a matter of just moving forward. Ms. Mott brought up about Westminster and the changes that we made. Chief Cumberland there can relate to that. 1976, when we moved forward with changing some of the membership in the department. And it was just, that's part of progress. That's how you do things. And the name, what the heck? You know, it is what it is. So I'm looking forward to 2 years down the road and not having to deal with this. But I'd much rather not have to deal with him and this next year. So, you know, truly believe that tabling this, taking it back to our various associations, to the counties and the membership, and I think we can continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Past President.
First of all, Chip, I think your words were well said, and I agree with pretty much what everybody has said this morning. A lot of people in this room, and a lot of us are really interested in the tradition of the fire service and the history of the MSFA. And changing this name doesn't change 1 second of that history. But what it might change is our future. Our continuation as an organization, our continuation of recruiting people. So I think the direction that you're moving in is tremendous. I applaud it, and if there's any way that I can help, let me know.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments from the floor? Any further comments from the executive committee? The floor is open for, what we got? I'm sorry, the Honorable Powell.
This provides an absolutely magnificent media, public affairs, marketing opportunity, which we need desperately across the whole range of everything you've been talking about this weekend, recruitment and retention or what have you. Following John is just ideal. He spent his life in marketing and communicating with the public and what have you. It goes back to what Steve talked about. Not only is it way overdue, et cetera, but we could use this on so many levels to promote, back to what you were saying with regard to 501c3, the inclusive role that firefighters happens to represent, and from a public relations committee standpoint, I don't think you'd have a better opportunity than right now to be able to say, this took deliberative consideration. We were concerned about the legislative impact, codification in state law and what have you. We needed assurance from state agencies and others that this would not have a negative impact on our ability to deliver services. I think you can really spin this in a very positive, everybody would see it as a win-win. So thank you, Chip, and thank all of you in leadership.
Thank you, Wayne.
Jonathan, I think you just got somebody to help you.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, you got a co-chair. Very good. Okay, floor is open.
Mr. Chairman, you need a motion to
We
table
need
the
either
vote.
a motion to table or a motion to vote. Yes, sir.
I will make a motion that we table this to vote at the December Executive Committee meeting.
Second.
Second by Bill. Any further discussion on the motion?
Discussion on the table motion, sir. No discussion on the table.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's a table motion. You're correct. I'm sorry. Thank you. You're right. Very good. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion's been tabled. We will vote on this in December.
Mr. Chairman, you said that we failed by 132 votes. Well, I just want clarification so that when we try and go back and sell this, that we're speaking facts. So, well, could you in percentage or numbers and let us know?
We'll make sure that you have the
Yeah.
actual percentage. And
Yeah.
it was around 130 to 132 votes that it failed by.
And
It was over the 50%, but
Correct.
it's not the 2/3.
And that makes it a lot easier, I think, for us to go back and say that this is what the majority wanted. It was over 50%.
Yeah.
We just didn't meet the requirements of the bylaws, and that's what we're asking you to do
And
at
I-
this point.
Right.
And I'll send you the talking points with it.
I truly believe because we had 3 names that took away from it. So the hard work starts at, you've already voted to table it, but the hard part starts now. And that's going back to the associations and echoing what we are trying to help folks understand. That this is a detriment to us right now. we continue to say, I respect the historical footprint and where we are, but we have to move forward. And that's the hard part that I'm asking the executive board to do. I know you're like I say, you're going to have some uphill battles, but you know, you got 3 of us. Bring us to your meetings. Can't make it any plainer. You know, we're going to stand with it, and we're not going to back away from it. So the issue doesn't go away, because I'd rather have it on my watch than having it come 2 more years down the road with these guys.
Well, and that's all I'm asking is we have accurate facts to present it. And really, we are making history. It is part of the history of the
We are.
Yeah, and
So
I'll include these talking points, Tim, all the reasons, you know, the political is very obvious, but all
the
the
political
things
part, I'm
yeah.
just looking at the numbers so that we can tell.
Joe Friday, just the facts.
That
You got it.
The majority of the people
There's some people
wanted
are all,
this.
thank you.
We just didn't fulfill it.
Any other comments regarding this issue? Thank you. Thank you, and thank you all very much. This is tough for everyone. I know that's, like I said, very passionate, but we are all here for the MSFA and for the betterment, and I appreciate the great discussions and moving forward. Any other old business or action items that we need to take care of? Mr. Secretary, any other action items I missed? Okay, any other old business to come before the Assembly? Hearing none, any new business to come before the Executive Committee? Kate?
Well, forgive me if this is not new business. I maybe should have covered it in my report, but we have not talked about, or no one else had brought up the fact of NFIRS is going to be slowly making a change to a new platform through the U.S. Fire Administration. It's going to be called NERIS, N-E-R-I-S. It's modernizing the U.S. fire data system. I've attended a webinar. It was basically an intro to the National Emergency Response Info System, which is basically NERIS. It's going to be accurate, real-time data. The National Fire Data Center is going to integrate with NEMSIS to record and be able to have real-time data within maybe an hour or 2 of the incident. There will be pre-populated fields, because as we know now, NFIRS is pretty not difficult, but it can be cumbersome to fill out for every incident. They're looking at a 2024 integration department level prior to January 2025. And then in Q1, they will start to archive and decommission the current NFIRS. So we're looking at the whole of next year, probably about a year and a half until we make the switch from NFIRS to NERIS. So more information will come out on that, and we'll just share it across the board. But nobody touched on it, so I just figured I'd brought it up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I forgot about it. I know it's happening, and it wasn't in any of the reports, so appreciate it, and we'll get that. I know it's in your weekly report also, so we'll be touching on that and information. Just let everybody know. Everybody loves NFIRS. They're going to hate this probably, but we're going to do what we got to do. It's life in the technology age as we move forward.
Well, we've been pretty much confirmed that it should be more user friendly than NFIRS, and it's going to capture more data.
That would be very hard.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, member Dayton and I had a conversation earlier about this, and what I was going to suggest is that I would go to the training committee and ask them to look at setting up some type of informational training that could be presented in all the regions throughout the state about what the new program's going to look like, what the changes are. The last time this was discussed at Cumberland Valley, my understanding there may be a holdup with it coming out in 24 because of funding, but again, when Member Dayton and I were talking, I was going to reach out to the training committee and ask them to, again, look at it, contact the National Fire Academy, see if we can't get someone and set something up maybe at all the MIFRE training centers throughout the state, open it up to the member departments to come out, their leadership, and again, get some direct information given to them. I'm also going to do the same thing, or ask the training committee to do the same thing with ion batteries. Again, find a program that we can put on throughout the state, open it up to everyone, and again, to get the word out and information out about ion batteries. But I do appreciate Kate bringing this up, and again, Tim and I talked about it, and just thought it was a good idea to go through the training committee with it.
And just to confirm, FSRI is going to be opening an online training center and have in-person training at the National Emergency Training Center as it starts to roll out. So they'll provide that training as well. But it wouldn't hurt for the MSFA to have that in with FSRI to get that information as it's rolled out.
Okay, we'll work with everybody as we move forward. Very good. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Mark.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Question,
Kate,
Mr. Dayton.
is there going to be any cost to the departments for this?
No, so it will just be, as far as what they're concerned, is it's just going to be an integration and software that will be rolled out that you'll just utilize, just as NFIRS is now. They have not said anything about a fiscal impact to any of the departments. And I would assume, well, I'm not even going to say that, but it has not been addressed that there'll be any fiscal impact.
Okay.
It'll just be a software.
And I guess the other thing is, I don't know a lot of departments, but we use the data on multiple platforms. I submit mine through I Am Responding to the county and the state at the same time when I export files, so that the county has it for political reasons or whatever they need on a local level. But then also I use it as a department level to gather data for the end of the year, or everybody knows that submitted a Fire Act grant. There's data that they have, and you can extract that data. Are we going to be able to continue to do that?
From what I understand, yes, and it should actually be a lot easier to extract the data and to implement it in whatever other programs that you have currently running.
Okay.
So it should be integration. Integration should be pretty simple. Should be.
That's my only concern.
Yeah, and again, this is new. This was just the first call. This was back on July 13th. And obviously, as more information comes out, we'll address those.
Yeah, it's early in
those
the learning
addresses.
curve, so we're going to have a lot of information to find out what can or can't do. So we'll certainly keep everybody in the loop on this.
Well,
Mark,
if it's at the beginning, infinite stages, this is where they need to hear from us.
Yep.
That one, we don't want to cost to the departments, and two, if we put data in locally and even county level, we need to be able to figure out how to get that data back out.
Well, we also
reasonably.
need to actually reach out to our counties and make sure they're aware, because like I said, this is not only the companies, this is affecting essentially everything from the fire marshal's office down. So, yep, it's going to be an issue that is going to be ongoing. We're in the incipient stages. There's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of answers. Who else? Oh, wait a minute. I'll Mark first. Mark had his.
The only other comment is, and again, Tim and I were talking about this, we have legislation in place that mandates 508 funding and MFERS, so we may have to go to Annapolis or look at changing or adjusting the legislation and how that affects the distribution of 508 funds.
Especially if they change the platform or they change the name, all that legislature is going to have to be updated, correct?
Yeah,
there's a lot of moving parts coming with this thing.
Yeah, because it's no longer going to be submitted to the fire marshal. He is going to have to, like us, go and get the information out. So again, it's just something that we'll look at that.
Teresa has a comment regarding that part. Go ahead.
So the fire marshal is concerned about this.
Just talk closer to it.
So the fire marshal is concerned about this, and NASM has taken the lead on this, and the aspect because a lot of the states also require the fire service to report to them. So the component is it will still be sent directly to the fire marshal's office in real time. So that way we don't have to wait for departments to turn their stuff in. Like the list that he gave yesterday of all the departments that are still not given the information. So by law, he's required to report to MDEM, which he did, and that's where that list came from. But Joe Walters from the office is the data person on that, and Allison Nicodemus, and Allison has been assigned to that because she oversees the fire data reports. So she's part of that. Those two are actively working. And then with NIST, not NIST, it's
FSRI.
FSRI,
Steve
but
Kerber.
yeah, but they've got that contract, and Kerber understands that was his concern too. So it is actively being worked in. And she said it's right, but our whole process is that information. When they found out that they weren't going to get the information, that kind of keyholed some stuff. And that's where Dr. Lori's like, what do you mean you need it? Because she was told by the feds, you got to redo this because you're running out of space. Ultimately, is the servers cannot accommodate this anymore. And we were told by 2025 this was going to be live or sooner. So they have $22 million to make this work. So
It'll probably wind up $250 million.
probably.
Okay. Kate?
I just have one more thing. As we were discussing all of our recruitment and retention projects, especially through SAFER, there was a question posed to ask if there could be a field on the current credential form online to ask for a recruitment contact info of that department, since that is basically every department, well, majority of the departments fill that out in order to vote a convention. It's one of the main avenues of getting updated information on the departments every year. And we just feel, because recruitment is such a huge topic right now, and it's going to drive the next 2 years of our SAFER grant and all of Jonathan's projects and all these other things, could we add, and of course this would go, the request to the secretary, if there would be the option to include a recruitment email, if applicable. Obviously, not everybody's going to fill it out. Obviously, not every department has a recruitment information, but we could utilize that information from the spreadsheet to update our marylandvolunteer.org to be able to forward leads, and it would update a lot of things for us.
Automatically every year.
Yeah.
Mr. Secretary, is that going to be an issue? Okay. We'll review.
Okay.
So take it under consideration.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Kate, for all that information. Any other old or new business to come before the body? Okay, go to the order. Let's see. Let's go around the horn. Past President Steve.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to Libertytown for the hospitality. Been an excellent weekend. Lunch yesterday was great, but appreciate it. And greetings from Hartford Cecil, Hartford County, and Cecil County. And I will be taking the information back. Thank you.
Mr. Fowles.
Good morning. First off, I want to thank you for your words of wisdom with what we brought up about the name change. It was very good. I also want to let everyone know that Community Fire Company of Millington is celebrating their 100th anniversary on September 16th. And they're having a dinner for past presidents and past chiefs. I think it's on September 9th. So just to let everybody be aware of that. And I want to thank Libertytown for their hospitality and everything else.
Mr. Block.
Thank you. How about this? Is this working? Okay. I too would like to recognize and thank Libertytown for their hospitality this weekend, for hosting this very productive meeting. Great facility, great folks here to welcome us and take care of us during our stay. I'd like to bring you greetings from the Anne Arundel County Volunteer Firemen's Association. We're still dealing with that name. That name change is going to good effect on two fronts. We have our convention coming up the week of September 6th through the 9th, I believe. A new president will be Victor Henderson, who's a past president of the association. Have several new officers, so we're looking forward to having another great year next year, maybe even better than the past. Want to thank all of you for your perspectives and your wisdom on all these topics, more particularly the name change. It's been educational. I've taken a lot of notes and look forward to sharing all of this with our member companies and with the county association so that we are able to come back in December and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Block. Mr. Smith.
Good morning. Bring you greetings from the three counties, Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's, Southern Maryland counties. Want to show appreciation to Urbana for the reception, and Libertytown for the hosting and meeting this weekend. As Dan stated yesterday, in October, welcoming in everybody that has antique equipment to come down to the antique muster and the Mifry Training Center in the Plater. So it's usually well attended, over 50 to 60 entries. We have it every year down there. And again, I will understand the mission of what the association is trying to do, so I'll take the wishes and desire back to my people.
Thank you, Randy. Mr. Dayton.
Greetings from Allegheny and Garrett and from President Dayton over there. Again, thanks to Frederick County for the hospitality. Libertytown has been an excellent weekend. We've had some good discussion, and like I said, we are making history. Even with the association, we're concerned about the history and stuff like that, but we are making history by the things that we are doing. So thank you very much for a great weekend.
Thank you, Tim. Chief?
Thank you. I want to thank Chip and Frederick County for today, this weekend. I truly encourage everybody to see these departments up here. They do some outstanding fundraising. But I'd have to say Libertytown and New Midway should have a cook-off for the best lunch, because I've heard and I've had both. So it's a very, very competitive bunch of members up here. Montgomery County is working extremely hard on getting a new county fire chief. I have to tell everybody that me as president of our association, we have been involved with the hiring of the interview process. So we've had a voice at the table, which is very important to continue to show your involvement in the fire service in your county, to continue to show your involvement. I was very taken by the Fishwater, I guess that's how, I apologize for saying her name wrong. She knew some numbers. She was able to brag about her volunteers. So that's something that you need to hear and continue to hear, that the leaders of your counties are knowing what you're doing and the impact that you're having. So it's very important to stay in front of your leadership in your county. Again, name change is going to have a big effect in Annapolis. We're hearing it, we're seeing it, and of course, you know, Montgomery County, we're right in the middle of a mess. So we'll get through this. So thank you again, Chip, for you and your department and hosting this. Thank you for your leadership today and yesterday.
Lee?
Good afternoon, people. I bring you greetings from Prince George's County and President Jeremy Jordan. We've had a pretty busy couple of months planning our convention. The convention will start on September 9th. We're doing it on 2 different Saturdays this year. This is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. The first Saturday, the 9th, will begin with our memorial service. That'll begin at 12 o'clock. And then after that, we'll have our banquet, which will be by invitation only. The next weekend will be the September 16th. That will be the beginning of the business meetings. They'll be all day long. That'll be all the business of our association and the Ladies Auxiliary. The ladies will start at 10 o'clock. They'll go to about 12. We'll break for lunch. Then about 1:30, we'll have our awards ceremony. That should go to around 3, and after that, we'll break again, and the Prince George's County Volunteer Firemen Association will have their business meeting, and the Ladies Auxiliary will have their business meeting, and after that, we'll have a dinner somewhere around 5 o'clock. And if you all don't know, I will be assuming the office of president of the Prince George's County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association at the September 16th meeting. So,
Congratulations and condolences.
I don't know whether it's congratulations or not, but we'll see how it goes. Also, we've been planning our Founders Circle event. That's at both ends of the spectrum. It's a sad time, but it's also a time of great joy that we get to honor people who have gone before us. We select about 10 names to go on the stones that circle the Fire Services building on Webster Street in Landover Hills. So that will be on the 30th of September. That will begin at noon time. really happy about doing that. There's been discussion about how that's going to go about next year. Unfortunately, the county fire chief is looking to take that under her purview. We're trying to dissuade her from that. I don't know whether it'll work or not, but that's where it's going. Also, we are planning our special tribute, as I said before yesterday. That will be at the Baden Fire Department down in Baden. That will be on October the 29th. That'll begin at 12 o'clock. Past president of this association, Chuck Walker, is one of the tributees, along with his wife, Sharon. And come on down. My wife, Sandy Lutz, still has tickets. Anybody that wants them, they're $30 a piece. See her. And finally, I'd like to thank Libertytown Volunteer Fire Department for their hospitality and hosting this meeting of the executive committee this weekend. I'd also like to thank the committees and their participation for all they do, and the partners for all their participation. I wish you all a safe travels back to your homes, and I'll see you at the next meeting.
Hello. Hello. I'll yield my time to President Mott to bring you an update on Carroll County. We continue to work on the combination department in the county, progressing through where they are hiring career staff that are county employees and are going into volunteer houses and operating volunteer equipment. Certainly we have spoken a lot about Westminster. They have an anniversary coming up, so we would encourage you to join them and help them celebrate. Also, we will be having the December meeting in Westminster. You all have hotel information about that. There'll be more information coming out about other events for that upcoming meeting in December. As far as Howard County, bring you greetings from the president down there, Mickey Day, and their departments. Again, they continue to work on different projects. They changed their meetings from every month to every other month, so they're meeting a little less. Again, they're hoping to get more people to attend and bring back the strength of the association. I've said it a lot of times, and I keep reiterating it everywhere I go. The Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference is a free conference. All of the executive members were given copies of the brochure of what the courses are. I would ask that you take that back, share that information with your departments, your counties, and we want to have a record year this year. A lot of you are aware, Fire Marshal DeRacy will be stepping down by the end of the year, so this will be his last, not attending, but his last role as Fire Marshal with the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference. This association has been a proud supporter of that for many, many years. So again, I just encourage you to spread the word, get the information out there. Let's have a record year for an opportunity again for free training, Johns Hopkins. Echo the comments that were said previously. Frederick County, the Libertytown Fire Company, the leadership of the CHIP and President Smothers for their first executive committee meeting. Also for all the folks that came the last 2 days to share information with us and show the work that is going on through this great association. Thank you all for sticking around this late in the day, and wish you all a safe trip home and safe travels, and look forward to seeing everybody in Carroll County, Westminster in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I'd just like to thank Libertytown and Frederick County for hosting us this weekend. It has been a great 2 days. We've discussed a lot of operations of the Maryland State Firemen's Association and look forward to trying to have the name changed. I think if we only have one name presented, which we can't stop anybody from putting in other names, but if we've tried to explain to them, if you want the name to change, we need one proposal. And I think with the executive committee taking the steps that we did, it's going to help that. Because we need to market it. I said that 3 years ago, and we haven't really, we did have some regional meetings, but they were not well attended. So maybe we can preach this to our county associations. And with that, I'd just like to say thank you and welcome everybody to our next meeting.
Yeah, under Good and Welfare, on behalf of the Westminster Fire Department and President Danny Plunkett, we definitely invite everybody to come to our parade and muster on October the 7th. We're having a big parade, and hopefully right now we're working on bringing a steam fire engine in with the horses. So we're working on that. We're working on getting sponsors to bring it in. And we have about 25 people that will be grand marshals that have better than 50 years service with our department. So that's a big thing. After the parade, we'll have a muster and also an open house of the fire station. So we're inviting everybody, like I say, October the 7th. Everything starts around 9 o'clock. Chip, of course, is going to be the MC for the parade. And on December the 1st, or 2nd and 3rd, we look forward to hosting this executive committee and again invite everybody to here. So look forward to seeing all of you there. From the Cumberland Valley, I know Dave Lewis liked to be here, but on behalf of him and being a director for Cumberland Valley this year, we thank you for everything that you are partnering with Cumberland Valley for. On a sad note, since the middle of March till today, there has been 24 of the first responders on the highway that have been killed. And just last night I got word there was a firefighter struck in Oklahoma by a car, and he's in the hospital. I don't think there's any life-threatening injuries to him, but unfortunately he got struck. So let's be careful when we're out there on the highway. Got to have your head on a swivel and make sure you have your blocking vehicles there to do that when you're out there. Again, thank you, Chip.
Thank you, Bob. And President Smothers, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as the chairman. It's been an experience. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to everybody sitting up here. We have great people, great thoughts, great ideas, great experience, and by working together, we continue to make this association great. As President of Libertytown, I'm certainly glad to have everybody here. It's been an absolutely pleasure to host an MSFA Executive Committee, first one since I think about 1974. Kenny Crum was on the Executive Committee. He was President of the Fire Department. I believe that was the last time we met here. So I thank everybody for attending. And Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you, sir, for your comments. Excuse me, Randy? I think it's handled. Yeah, I think we got that. Yeah, I think we got that taken care of. Yeah, thank you. Good idea. I'm pretty sure, but I think I'll double check on these. See the past presidents, Mr. President, and the second vice and first vice.
Well, let me start with these because I'll do the wrap up. So, yeah. Why don't you start the ladies and then work my way this way. Joan or Jean, whichever one wants to go first.
Thank you all very much for your support and allowing us to be here and listening and learning. It's an experience to see everything and being a part of it. I thank you. I thank you to Libertytown for all they've done. We appreciate it.
I just want to echo what Jean said. We're so grateful to be here to listen and to learn. Thank you for allowing us to do that. We support you, and we're delighted with the possibility of the name change. And again, we're thinking about changing our name when you change your name.
It's nice following Miss Joan because then the mic is down. Okay, I certainly appreciate and would congratulate Chip on doing an excellent job this weekend. I thank the Libertytown Fire Department and their officers for an excellent time hosting with us today, and Frederick County for their work. Past President Bob, you stole some of my comments, but do want to remind everybody about the October 7th at Westminster. Come on up, enjoy. I think it's going to be quite an event. And the last item I have is I'd like to thank our IT audio public address person, Chris May, for getting us through the weekend and doing a great job. He's been extremely busy. He's had a lot to work with, and technology-wise, he's making it work. So thank you very much.
Chip to the other half of the Chip and Dale. Here we go. Great weekend. You, your department, and your county are really top notch all the way. Yeah. Also, the fact my wife was born here doesn't help either. All right. Pleasure to be here. I think we've achieved a monumental thing with the fact that we sat down and we actually talked about that we are going to say, hey, change it. It's a big one. Let's go. It's lunchtime? Now, if it's lunchtime, I'll quit talking. You get to talk during the call.
Yes, Teresa, the siren does blow.
Okay. How long does that go for, Chip?
Just tanker run down on 70. Yeah, it's on 70, so there's a vehicle fire, so you may have a little backup.
Oh, 3 minutes. I'll go ahead and wait that long then. I guess you can hear me over the siren, but you just got to turn your hearing aids up, Skip. That's all.
They turned it off downstairs,
yeah.
Eric. You're okay.
Well, first, I really want to say, Chip, thank you for taking on the executive chair. I really think that you ought to be sitting over here on this side of the table, and I appreciate your support, and along with your wife, taking this journey with me, and an excellent job that you did this weekend. So thank you, team effort. I also want to say thank you not only to my home company for their Friday night celebration, and gentlemen at Urbana, and our auxiliary, especially here at Libertytown over the last 2 days. Mark, can you bring your folks out in the kitchen, if you would, please? These are just some of the worker bees that helped this weekend, and I just want to give these folks a good round of applause and say thank you for everything that you did. We know we embarrass folks when they don't want to come out of the kitchen, but it was phenomenal. I just want to say thank you, not only as the second vice president here in Frederick County, but also as the MSFA president. I'm very humbled to be able to represent you. I really want you to know that. And I'm certainly here for you to take on any new initiatives and to move us forward. And everyone that comes to these meetings and the committee chairs and the folks that are working for the committees certainly want us to do that and move us forward. And as long as we keep doing that and keeping the membership and our providers first, we will always be successful. And you know, the name is what it is. We'll work on that, and hopefully these two gentlemen coming behind me, won't have to deal with that. But Chip, on behalf of MSFA and myself, I want to present you, your membership, a special recognition for this weekend, as well as a check to help you offset your costs. So thank you, President and Executive Chair Jewell. So I actually have two of them here, so you might be able to put one up in the hall and one downstairs. So there you go. So thank you. Again, to the members of the association, the financial folks, and the executive board members, I want to say thank you. Thanks for coming up to visit Frederick County. Look forward to December. I think it was a very successful meeting here today, being my first one here. It was great. So safe travels going back home, and we'll see you in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any further business? Hearing none. Meeting is whoop, Chaplain. Where's the chaplain? I was going to do the chaplain after I put the gavel down.
You're going to cut me off?
All right. Well, he wants to speak. I'm sorry. He wants to pray before I get rid of the meeting. Go ahead.
Before I pray, Texas is in severe drought in Louisiana. Yesterday, Texas had a 25,000-acre fire. 16 volunteer firefighters lost their vehicles when the fire jumped over the road. The state, we got a text yesterday. The state of Louisiana the governor has put a complete burn ban and lawn mowing ban in the whole state. And this morning, the city of DeRidder has been evacuated for the huge fire that's heading into the city. So our brothers down south need a lot of prayer. Please join me in prayer. Father God, as we gather together this weekend, Father, we lift up our brothers and sisters in Texas and Louisiana as they're fighting these wildfires, Father. We just pray for them. We pray for safety. We pray for the victims in the path of these fires. Father, be with those in our communities today who are responding on calls. Protect them and guide them and bring them safely home. Father, be with us as we begin to travel home today. Give us safe passage. And Father, bless this food that we're about to receive, that nourishes our body. And most importantly, Father, be with our military serving around the world, protecting our freedom, allowing us to be here this weekend. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Any further business? Meeting adjourned. See you in December. Amen.